Hello, hello, everybody. Hi, welcome to Transformation Talk with Teri. And I'm so glad to be here with you today. I'm just going to give a moment and see if people start finding it. So, hello, Gerald Ann. I see you on here, my dear. Hi, Lorraine. Gina Marie. Oh, I'm so happy that you're here, honey. Hi, Christine. Thank you for sharing. And Maria de la Oh, yes, you are already here. Hi, Norma Louise. Hello and welcome. It's so good to see all of you here and coming back. You keep coming back for more. Oh, how is everybody today? You know, this is our third day together and talking about transformation, talking about how we can support each other in these changes that we're going through, the changes that you commit to go through. Hi, Karen Palmer. Thank you, darling, for being here. Thank you for sharing. Hi, Deb. Oh, my goodness. Robert Dosa. Robert Dosa in the house. Have you all checked out his CD yet? If you haven't, please do so. Go to Amazon and say, I want that. Hi, Roseanne. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you to all of you who are coming on and who are sharing this out. You just made my day. And we have a few people on now. So, since I am holding it to only a half an hour, we are going to get started with this party. What y'all think about that? So, how are we doing with your commitment? You know, the first day I just gave you some information, and then yesterday was D Day. Yesterday, you actually made that commitment. You said the words, you said yes to you. You said yes to you. And that's the thing. This is for you. This isn't for me. It's something that I'm going through, and I love having company. So thank you all for going through this with me. Thank you for going through a transformative time that we're all exposed to. We're all knowing, we have that knowing that we can no longer do things the way we used to do them. You know, the 3D energy just doesn't work anymore. We're all moving to a higher dimension. We're moving to a higher energy and frequency. So the things that we used to do, we're finding we're not able to do that anymore. So we're having to make these changes. We're having to look at things like, let me get my list out here. Things like having more patience with ourselves, more patience with each other. We are having to look at the things we put in our body, the nutrition. Okay, we're having to look at things like being fatigued, Christine Young. Yes, that fatigue that happens, and how do we deal with that? We have to look at our emotions and showing less anger and more love in our lives, looking at our negative thinking, looking at how can we make these changes. So the number one that I chose to tackle is our willpower, because that's going to propel us to all these other changes. So let's see, you all know how this works. By a show of hand, how many of you think that you could work on improving your willpower and making that change and working toward an improvement in your willpower? Let's hear it, people. How are we doing? Is this something that you want to work on? Is this something you want to talk about and discuss and be there for each other as we discover, how do we do this? How do we work on our willpower? How do we increase that level of being able to say no when it's something that we don't want, or to say yes to something that we do want? Okay. Lorraine Michelle, thank you. Karen Palmer, thank you. Deb, yes, thank you. Roseanne, Cheryl Ann, willing to work on it. That's the key right there, my dears. Be willing to work on it, saying yes to yourself. Gayla Daly saying yes. Maria de la, oh, yes. And remember, you're saying yes to you. You're not saying yes to me. You're not saying yes to anything else other than making that commitment inside yourself. And you're doing it in this public way where we can all support you in that. You're not alone. That's huge. You're not doing it alone. Let me tell you about me and my willpower, okay? I've made the comment several times already in this series of when I'm done, I'm done. And when I commit, I'm committed. And it's been that way my whole life. I reach a point and it's like, okay, that's it, I'm done. And once I reach that point, and I know that when I come to that edge, I know I'm there. And I know, okay, I'm either going to stand here and procrastinate or I'm going to jump, you know. And when I jump, I'm all in. There's no turning back. That ledge, it's way up there. I can't get back up to it. Yeah, my wings don't work that way, John. um, so yeah, having that willpower is something that I've done my whole life. I've gotten myself forward in certain things by that willpower. Now I've had that willpower when it comes to losing weight. Okay, we've all mentioned, or not all, I'm sorry, several of you have mentioned that you want to work on losing weight. Well, when I decide to go all in and when I decide to jump off that ledge, then I'm all in. I'm done. That's it. Okay. It's only one way forward now, and that's to stick to the commitment. Now, there's times in my life when I've made a commitment, like quitting smoking, a very, very hard commitment to make. And then something happened, something triggered, and then there I am back again, you know, with the cigarette. Well, it's been over 4 years for me now that I haven't smoked, I haven't picked up a cigarette. And honestly, I haven't even thought about it. The only time I think about it is when I'm around other smokers, and then I come home and I'm like, what's that awful smell? So, willpower is something that we develop. It's something that we're rewarded when we continue on a good path, and we can exercise that muscle. It's a muscle, just like we exercise for our biceps or any part of our body that needs the exercising, that needs toning, that needs improving. We do a physical exercise, right? Okay, willpower, the same thing, the same thing. Willpower, once you decide to exercise willpower in a certain area, let's say it is cutting out something that's not good for you, the things that stop you from moving forward in the way you want to move forward, then once you start exercising that willpower and doing it 1 hour, 2 hours, you know, the baby steps, then that's that exercise, just like you were walking or running or jogging or whatever it would take to get you physically built up. It's the same thing, doing the exercise for your willpower. I'm going to stop for just a moment because there's a lot of comments on here. And thank you all for being so interactive. I love it. I love the interaction. I love how you're here for each other. You are here for each other in all of this. And anything that I share with you, that's my journey, I share it as an example. That's all I have is my journey. Okay. As I said the very first day, I am not an expert in any of this. I'm the expert in living it. That's the only thing. So if I share something with you and you can resonate with that, awesome. That's what it's all about. I use myself as an example to let you know what I'm going through, still going through in changing and transforming in my life. So I hope that this will help somebody to talk today about willpower. Let's talk about it. How many of you have something right now that you're dealing with that will take some willpower to get through it? You know, whether it's a change of doing something different that will help improve you in your life journey, or willpower in, stopping whatever it is that you want to stop. You stopped drinking 5 years ago. Awesome. Awesome. So if you have something that you want to work on, if you're willing to share it in the comments, let us know. Let us know what that is that you think that you could use some willpower to work on that area. So I was listening to a talk about willpower, and I love that you all are putting the comments. Keep putting the comments while I'm talking. So I was listening about willpower, and there's been a lot of research about it in the scientific arena. I just love how science is catching up with what we're doing spiritually. And one thing that I learned, and I heard about a research, and I wasn't happy with how they did it, but they were researching about the prefrontal cortex. Okay, there's a muscle, a prefrontal cortex muscle, and this is the muscle that deals with willpower. And they did some research with a rat, and like I said, I won't go into detail. I don't like when the scientists research on animals, but what they did was they found that they could give this rat control over how it put a shock to certain areas of the brain, because they were trying to research how the rat reacted with stimulus in the brain. So they found out that it kept giving itself stimulation in a certain area of the brain, and it whatever it took to get that stimulation, that's what it would do. So then they carried that research over to humans. Of course, this is how they work, and they found out that the humans reacted the exact same way. They were self-stimulating a certain area of the brain. And it wasn't a pleasure center, it was the prefrontal cortex. And what they found was this is the part of our brain that desires, that wants something, may not be getting exactly what is wanted, but the hope is there, the thought that, okay, if I keep stimulating this part of my brain, I'm going to have what I want. I'm going to have the happiness, the joy, whatever my desire is. Yes, thank you. Thank you, John Fiore. Serotonin is released. So what happens is we can exercise willpower. And when we do, we're exercising a part of our brain. Okay? We're doing that. We're doing the work ourselves. So nobody can do willpower for us. Nobody can help us to make that change other than ourselves, and having that hope that if I keep doing this, it's, whatever it is that I'm trying to change will get improved. And it will. It will. That's what happens. Just like when you exercise the physical body, the muscles change, our body changes, the tone changes. Same thing with willpower. When you exercise it over and over, the changes happen. And so we break bad habits like smoking and, whatever else, bad nutrition that we're putting in, all of those things. Once we start exercising willpower, we start seeing change happen. So if we don't exercise the willpower, what do you think is going to happen? Just like when we don't exercise, when we don't use a part of our body, it atrophies. So remember yesterday we were talking about the windshield and the rearview mirror. So looking forward, going forward, and that would be in relation to willpower, exercising willpower. Going forward, you're at that windshield, and you're seeing yourself moving forward, that forward momentum. But If you stop that, if you stop moving forward and things slip back into the way they used to be, then you can see in that little rearview mirror, there you are, moving in that backward direction. So it's all about perspective. It's all seeing which way do I want to go? Do I want to go forward in this momentum, or do I want to slip into the old ways and just, back to the cigarettes, back to, whatever it is that you want to change? So there's some ways that you can exercise your willpower, that there's some things that you can do that will increase that motivation to exercise the willpower. The number one is meditation. When you meditate, you become stronger inside. There's also exercise itself, moving, having some energy movement. So exercise is one, movement is another one, breathing. Okay, breathing. And when I say breathing, I don't mean just this little thing that we do that we think that is breathing. Breathing involves really breathing in the breath, filling up the lungs totally filling them up, not just, giving it a little bit of oxygen in there, but filling it full of oxygen. That's breathing. A lot of people refer to it as deep breathing, okay? But it's really the only breathing. Otherwise, we're just taking in enough oxygen to sustain ourselves. So deep breathing, heart-brain breathing. And this is something that I learned several months ago when I first started on my transformation journey, that we have a brain inside our heart. And that brain is the one that actually gives information to the brain up here in our head. So when we tune in to that heart brain, the brain in there, and we say, I am so grateful for this experience I'm going through, whatever your experience may be, or you just hold that feeling of gratitude there in your heart, and you breathe in deeply and let that travel up to this brain up here in your head. That is the heart-brain experience. That's where the two brains are communicating, the brain in your heart and the brain in your head. So when you do the deep breathing, hold in a feeling of gratitude and let that information travel up to the brain up here. And so then both brains are in coherence. The more you can do this, if you can do it at least 3 minutes a day, then that brings you into a state of really super focus. And when you're super focused, then you can really look at your life and say, what am I doing? What am I doing? Am I self-sabotaging by the things I do that are really destructive? Or am I making a commitment to move forward? I saw somebody say you want to move forward. Deb Weatherstone, like the old adage, the brain is stupid, listen to your heart. Absolutely. Absolutely. Your brain is what's feeding, your heart is what's feeding your brain. So go through the heart, breathe in there, and let all of that go up to the heart. So number 4, I gave you 3 things, okay? Meditation, exercise, actually physical movement, breathing, deep breathing, and then taking right action. And what does that mean? Taking right action. Taking right action, we all know when we're doing the right thing. We all know if we have an unhealthy habit that is not helping us. It's not for our best and highest good. What are some of those unhealthy habits? Okay, let's look at things like snacking. Okay, snacking. And I'm not saying that snacking is unhealthy, but what are some of the things that we snack on? Okay, we can snack on a multitude of things. For me, I can't have potato chips. I can't eat just one potato chip, just like the commercial says. It doesn't happen. So I put potato chips aside. I cut out that part of what I used to do. This is one way that I changed And I did the transformation was to stop with anything that's unhealthy that I'm putting in my body. Potato chips was very unhealthy for me and for most people. So, cutting out that which I know that is not helping me and putting in that which I know is helping me. So I can snack on celery and peanut butter. I'm getting some protein in there. I'm getting, celery, which is going to increase the flow of energy in my body. If you look into what celery does, especially if you eat celery at night, it helps to eliminate the water that's built up in you. So it's a natural way of doing that. All right. I'm trying to keep up with comments as well as share this information with you. Robert, you said I'm self-sabotaging myself, at least with smoking. It's okay that I'm aware of this. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awareness and acknowledgement, as we said yesterday, is the first step. The most important step in making any change is acknowledging it and then deciding what am I going to do once I acknowledge it. So we talked about snacking. Let's talk about overeating. Okay, this is another thing that I had to realize is, eat until you feel that that's enough. Once you feel it's enough, then you've had enough. So stop, push it away. You don't have to clean up that whole plate that you have in front of you. Just little baby steps like that, knowing that you can make a change a little bit at a time. You don't have to work on, changing the whole thing. Change one thing. That's what I asked you for a commitment for yesterday. One thing that you want to change and that you're willing to change. Let's talk about TV. Now, I'm not saying not to watch TV. I'm not telling you to do or don't do anything. For me, TV was a mindless waste of my time. And the only time that I turn my TV on now is if the world is ending. And for me here in Florida, the world ending means we're getting a hurricane coming in. So that's the only time my TV goes on. It's like, okay, I need to know where it's at. I need to know, if I need to pack up and go to Gerald Ann's or if I can stay put. So, just pay attention to how much you're involved in mindless activity. TV can be good for entertainment. If you need that stress reliever or turning on a comedy, sure, why not? But pay attention to how much is overload in that. The other thing is sleep. Either sleeping too much or not sleeping enough. Just pay attention to what's happening and how this is helping or hurting your body. Let's talk about substance abuse. We mentioned smoking. That's a substance. There are other substance abuses, alcohol, drugs, things that are not helping your physical body. That's not helping your mental, your emotional, your spiritual self. All I'm asking is to pay attention, to look at these, be willing to look at all of these things that's going to sabotage your willpower. And then start with one thing, that's all. Commit to one action thing that will help your willpower. Remember what we talked about? Meditation, exercise, breathing, and looking at your habits, taking the right action, which means the healthy habits instead of the unhealthy. So the commitment I'm asking you for today, remember every day I'm giving you something that you can start looking at, something that will help you in making this transformation. And it's baby steps. You're not having to work on all of this all at one time. Commit to one thing. So what one thing, and I want to see some comments here, what one thing will you commit to that will help increase your level of willpower? So somebody show me the willpower. What are you willing to commit to increase your level of willpower, to do that exercise of, that prefrontal cortex is going to start being exercised in your life? What will you commit to? Robert Dosa, you've not turned on the TV since you can't remember when. I know, exactly. It's there for a purpose for me, and it's okay. I'll turn you on if I have to, if my world is coming to an end, but that's it. Okay, Christine Young, meditation. Awesome. Yes, Melinda, there are so many wonderful, good snacks that we can use, but let's pay attention to, am I willing to give up the unhealthy and go toward the healthy? Ooh, I see lots of comments coming through. So you're willing to commit to a healthier you, Deb. Awesome. Gerald Ann, willing to exercise daily. Roseanne, meditation. Margaret Ellen, meditation. Wonderful. Oh, who said less chips? More fruit and less chips. Thank you, Monica Drury. Hi, honey. Welcome. Eating more fruit and veggies. Getting more sleep. Wendy Lucas. Reading a book. Yes, I've always been an avid reader myself, Melinda. Thank you for that. Gerald Ann, you've been slacking off. Well, see, there's the acknowledgement. There's the looking at it and seeing how it's looking for you right now. Remember yesterday we talked about your story. What's your story that you're telling? So make your story a healthy, positive one. I commit to making this one change in my life. Okay, who else? Meditation. Awesome. Okay, so the action item for you then is to make that one change, that one commitment to do this one thing. And then, what is one thing that you're willing to cut out? So look at one unhealthy thing that's not helping you with your willpower. Okay, so there's things that sabotage us, that sabotage the willpower, and there's things that help the willpower. And so I'm asking you to look at one thing that you can do, that you can commit to do, that will help increase the willpower, and one thing that you can do, that you can cut out, that you can stop doing, that's not helping you with your willpower. All right, so I promised you a gizmo every day. And those of you that tuned in yesterday will understand what that means. And for those of you that don't know, gizmo is another word, another term for a tool. So instead of saying I'm giving you tools, I'm giving you a gizmo, and pretty soon you'll have a whole basket of gizmos. So the gizmo for today, and this is something that I have used many times along my journey, anytime that I want to either strengthen a good habit or cut out a bad habit. You can use it both ways, but you decide how you're going to use it. I use a rubber band, and you may have heard of this, a rubber band on your wrist. So if you want to reinforce a good habit, let's say I had an apple and peanut butter, which is a really great snack. And thank you, Gerald Ann Heatherdale, for teaching me about that. If I've been really, really diligent in paying attention to my nutrition, and let's say I have an apple and peanut butter, and that was my healthy snack, then I can snap this for reinforcement. I can say, that was really good. I'm so proud of you, Teri. I'm so proud that you had the apple and peanut butter. You didn't go backwards. You didn't go in that rearview mirror and have one of the unhealthy snacks that I would have had in the past. So I can give myself an attaboy. I can give myself a pat on the back. I can snap this and say, that was really good. Let's keep going forward with that. Now, the other way you can use it is if there's something that, an unhealthy habit that you're trying to break. Like we talked about smoking. We talked about, not staying consistent with exercising. So we can snap the rubber band if we have a thought of, oh, I really want a cigarette right now. I really, really want to have that. I want that comfort of my habit. Then you can snap the rubber band, do it 3 times, snap it 3 times. Don't hurt yourself, but just so that you know that you're doing that, and just say, I am so proud of myself for not picking up that cigarette this time when I had the thought that I wanted it. I'm so proud of myself. I am amazing. I am wonderful. Why do people self-sabotage? That's an excellent question, Gina Marie. And, I'm not a psychologist, although I have a degree in psychology. But I have a lot of life experience, and I know that I have self-sabotaged a lot in my life. I really have. And, I think it's, we get something from it, obviously. There's some payoff when we do the self-sabotage. There's something that at that moment in time that we do it, it's giving in to something that was a habit that was there all along that we haven't broken yet. We haven't gotten out of that habit yet. And then we go into the guilt and the anger, maybe. Yes, it's definitely our ego that's doing that. So if we can work toward cutting out the things that sabotage the willpower, and work more toward the things that help us to become healthier in our journey and increase that willpower. And the more you do something healthy, the more you get rewarded inside for it and outside. In my case, it's like, wow, I was able to use my willpower to have the healthy snacks, to have the nutrition that I know my body needs, to cut out the things that were sabotaging me, like sugar and starches. So willpower is really huge in this whole transformation, as I said earlier. Self-discipline. Yes, that's the willpower, Deb Witherstrom. Absolutely. And just knowing that we need to be gentle with ourselves. We don't need to be coming down on us, and criticizing and saying, you're so stupid and why did you do that? Leave out all the guilt. Remember, this is a guilt-free zone. This is only a love zone. There's no judgment, only love in here, as Sharon loves to say. Wendy, when I'm stressed or hurt, I comfort eat, but now I have set my intention to treat myself to clothes or makeup instead. Awesome. I love that. I love that. So your action items, and I want to hear back from you, your action items are to commit to one thing that will help increase your willpower, and commit to one thing that you're going to cut out of your life that will just sabotage you and your journey and being able to be that strong, healthy person that we are all here to be. Robert Dosa used to say, don't leave for tomorrow what you can do today. Leave it for the day after tomorrow, because tomorrow you won't feel like doing it. Yeah. So do it today. Do it today. I love you all so much, and I'm going to exercise my willpower to keep this to the half hour, which I've already gone over for a few minutes, but I felt it was so important to share all of this with you. And I'd love to have your feedback. I just absolutely would love it. And to let me know how you're doing along this journey. So as I go in after the show ends, I will put these 2 action items for you so you know what you're working on, okay? And let me hear from you. I love the private messages you all are sending, and I appreciate each and every one of you so much for being here. I appreciate you for sharing this out. Share it to others that you think might be helped by being here, and all of us coming together in our journeys to support each other. That's what we're here for, to lift each other up, support each other, show each other some encouragement. I love you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you may be. And I'll see you tomorrow. I love you, Billy.